WrestleManias have passed with Roman Reigns presented as a resolute babyface hero, and the big dog is still no closer to living up to that nickname. Fans continue to reject Reigns in what basically amounts to a heels dug in meme, refusing to accept him no matter what, even as WWE tries to find different ways to present Reigns. Now we're supposed to believe that Reigns is some kind of underdog that the company is conspiring to hold down, which is why he and Samoa Joe went on last at Backlash. Right. Reigns isn't the first WWE flop on such a colossal scale, and he's probably not going to be the last either. He does, however, represent the most stubborn that WWE has ever been towards sustaining a big push that would just not take. Usually, WWE would have pulled the plug much quicker on an act or concept that floundered to Roman's degree, but not in this instance. Listed ahead are 10 pushes, trial concepts, and characters that WWE had high hopes for, but just didn't work out the way that Vince McMahon and his associates had hoped. Roman Reigns does not make the list because, hey, there's still time to turn the tide, but right now, it's not exactly a safe bet. I'm Adam Pacitti from Cultaholic.com, and these are 10 WWE plans that didn't work out. Join us! Number 10, WWE on TBS. As part of the national expansion of WWE in the mid-80s, Vince McMahon brought his product to the USA Network in 1983, giving his product a nationwide outlet for which to be seen. But McMahon wasn't satisfied and went to Ted Turner with an offer to buy Georgia Championship Wrestling's time slot on TBS. Turner refused, but McMahon got the slot anyway by organizing a coup that saw him buy the ownership stakes of Jack and Gerald Briscoe, as well as Jim Barnett. On Saturday, July 14th, 1984, the first WWE program aired on TBS in place of the popular GCW broadcast. It was called Black Saturday, as despite Vince McMahon's assurance to the audience that they would love his WWE product, the switchboards at TBS lit up with livid viewers wanting their preferred show back. They wanted their Southern-style wrestling, not this slower New York style. Ratings were disastrous for the WWE, and McMahon was losing money. Turner gave Bill Watts and Ole Anderson their own TBS time slots, which angered Vince as he wanted exclusivity. Their shows also beat WWE in the TV ratings. Seeing no alternative, McMahon sold his time slot to Jim Crockett in 1985 for $1 million. Number 9, Tom Magee. Magee's name has come up as something of a potent running gag. His name was referenced on WWE's 2017 unreleased DVD as Magee was one component of a rather curious match. The Canadian-born powerlifter looked like a cross between Kerry Von Erich, the Ultimate Warrior, and Kenny Omega, and had just the appearance that McMahon coveted. In 1986, Magee received a WWE tryout in Rochester, New York against Bret Hart. Hart didn't care much for Magee as a wrestler, calling his work pathetically phony, but as a consummate technician and ring general, Hart designed a match that made Magee look like a true world beater. Reportedly, McMahon was greatly enamored with how the chiseled Magee looked in the ring that night. Not only did Magee have the athletics and the aesthetics, but he had an impressive match with the Hitman. The problem was that Magee couldn't replicate that performance. In future dark matches, Magee didn't have Bret Hart to guide him through, and his work from then on was threadbare. Up into 1990, Magee would have additional tryouts to see if his work had gotten to an acceptable level, but he never did make it to the full-time roster. Number 8, The Ultimate Warrior as Hulk Hogan's successor. As much of a massive draw as Hulk Hogan was for McMahon, he could not reign forever. By early 1990, Hulk was 36 years old, branching out into film, and had been WWE champion for 5 of the previous 6 years. Eventually, there was going to have to be an heir to the Hulkamania throne, and McMahon had a reasonable candidate in The Ultimate Warrior. Warrior was over with the crowds, possessed the necessary look, and matches with the likes of Randy Savage and Rick Rude showed that skilled workers could carry him to enjoyable matches. Perhaps it was the fact that Hogan still shone in the WrestleMania 6 defeat, but at no point did Warrior, popular as he was, feel like Hogan's true successor. A lack of well-built challengers for the WWE title didn't help matters either, as business dropped off with Warrior on top with the belt. While business dipped slightly with Savage on top for a year in 88 to 89, he held his own as a major draw, whereas Warrior's reign fell considerably from Hogan's numbers as top dog. Warrior lost the belt to Sergeant Slaughter at the 1991 Royal Rumble and never won it back. Number 7, the GOBBLEDY. Just take one look at poor Hector Guerrero in the garish turkey costume and ask yourself, how in the unholiest of hells could this have ever worked? GOOKER didn't even make the most impressive debut the night of the 1990 Survivor Series, that would be The Undertaker, nor was he the most entertaining, that would be Mean Gene trying to roll around the ring during the GOOKER segment. According to Bruce Pritchard, Vince was really excited about the gimmick, because he wanted a mascot to entertain kids similar to the world-famous San Diego Chicken. The thought was that Guerrero could work a match earlier in the night as himself or under another gimmick, and then pop up later as the GOOKER, spreading cheer and joy throughout the crowd, putting smiles on the faces of kids, as they say. Instead, the fans at the Hartford Civic Center booed as though the GOOKER had just hit Rusev with a Superman punch. The GOBBLEDY is maligned as one of the worst gimmicks ever to this day, and apparently McMahon didn't see the seething dislike coming. Number 6. Weekly pay-per-views. Years before total non-stop action went the weekly pay-per-view route out of sheer necessity, WWE themselves dabbed in the fine art of oversaturating the market. The company was curious to see if they could establish Tuesday as a secondary pay-per-view night, and booked a card for 6 nights after the Thanksgiving Eve Survivor Series in 1991 to be called, quite flatly, This Tuesday in Texas. Jake Roberts and Macho Man Randy Savage were held off from Survivor Series in order to save their match for the event, while Hulk Hogan would attempt to regain the WWE Championship he'd lost to The Undertaker in controversial fashion at Survivor Series. While the 5-match card proved to be an enjoyable time killer with a few notable moments, particularly Jake Roberts' post-match promo which crossed the lines of sexual deviance, it wasn't the money earner that WWE was hoping for. While Tuesdays would find use as a pay-per-view replay night in the years to come, it wasn't good for fresh pay-per-views. The company tried again years later with a pair of Taboo Tuesday cards, but WWE found it better to keep their bigger shows on Sundays. Number 5. Made in the USA, Lex Luger. In a bid to recreate the magic of flag-waving, Americana-loving Hulk Hogan in the summer of 1993, WWE took the narcissist, Lex Luger, hastily turned him babyface, and had him body-slam the evil Japanese behemoth and WWE champion Yokozuna at a special 4th of July event on board the USS Intrepid. A match pitting the two was set for SummerSlam, and Luger spent the next 8 weeks touring the country inside his custom Lex Express bus, a grassroots campaign designed to make him into WWE's star babyface. Luger indeed won the match at SummerSlam, but via countout, thus making the balloons and confetti celebration look unfathomably stupid. Why not just switch the belt then and there when Luger had all of this momentum? Apparently, McMahon wanted to hold off the switch until WrestleMania, but crowds had cooled off on Luger long before then. The SummerSlam ending did him no favors, and by early 1994, it was clear that Bret Hart was the true number 1 babyface in the company. He didn't even need a tour bus to win over the fans. McMahon acquiesced to the fans' cheers, put Hart over Yokozuna at WrestleMania, and Luger was cast out of the main events for the remainder of his tenure. Number 4. Diesel as WWE Champion. Whenever somebody wants to verbally flick Kevin Nash between the eyes, they simply point out his 1-year run as WWE Champion in 94 to 95 being a flop at the box office. It's not exactly fair to place those tumultuous times squarely on Diesel's shoulders, as WWE's downturn didn't have all that much to do with whoever the champion happened to be. Diesel was merely the one holding the bag when WWE was doing its dirt worst business. A combination of steroid-related fallout and the lack of money-drawing megastars like Hulk Hogan. While WCW moved numbers with Hogan now in their fold, WWE tried to cast Diesel in the Hogan mold, which was not the best use for the dryly funny, acerbically smart Nash. Fans saw through the hokey facade of Diesel's Pepsodent smile and put on sugary demeanor. His matches with Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels were fine, but when given a diet of monsters like Psycho Sid or King Mabel, or even antiquated opponents like Bob Backlund, it just derailed Diesel away from where his true potential lay. Kevin Nash wasn't Hulk Hogan, no matter how much Vince wanted him to be. Number 3. The Brawl for All. By mid-1998, WWE was winning the Monday Night Ratings war over WCW and was looking for ways to continue setting themselves apart from the competition. They took 16 wrestlers that didn't exactly have much going on and offered them a chance to compete in a legitimate tough man contest with hybrid boxing wrestling rules, with the winner receiving a $100,000 cash prize. Dr. Death Steve Williams was brought in at the behest of friend Jim Ross, and it seemed as though WWE wanted Williams to win what was supposed to be a legit tournament. According to Bob Holly, Williams revealed that he'd been paid the grand prize in advance. Well, those plans went out the window when Bart Gunn KTFO'd Williams in the second round, dealing a blow not only to Williams' unquestioned tough guy image, but to WWE's plans. If Holly is right, then Williams already got the winner's money and had to pay Gunn a second £100,000 when he went on to win the whole thing. For all the money wasted, not to mention the wrestlers that were legitimately injured throughout the fights, which fans tended to openly hate, the company didn't even get the result they wanted. Number 2, Muhammad Hassan, World Heavyweight Champion. When Hassan, along with Shawn Daivari, first popped up on WWE programming in 2004, many fans held their breath. It seemed like just another attempt by the company to exploit stereotypes for crowd heat. Though at first it had a bit of a twist. Instead of simply playing an Iron Sheik-like American hater, Hassan's character was an Arab American who decried the discrimination he faced in a post-9/11 world due to his ethnicity. It was rare to see WWE portray a character with such potential for depth, going beyond the low-hanging tropes. Of course, that didn't last. By the spring of 2005, Hassan's character was pushed harder towards stereotype, and it wouldn't be long before WWE made a colossal blunder. As plans were being made for the very hated Hassan to win the World Heavyweight title at SummerSlam, WWE aired an angle in which Hassan oversaw a group of masked men assaulting The Undertaker with clubs and piano wire, sending a very explicit message about the Hassan character. The fact that the angle aired on the same day as the 2005 London bombings horrified many, and the UPN network refused to have Hassan appear on any of their shows. Hassan was written out of WWE at the Great American Bash and left the company shortly after. Number 1, Bobby Lashley, Babyface Hero. Upon his call-up to the main WWE roster in 2005, it looked clear that Lashley possessed some of the same tools as Brock Lesnar. Big, scary, muscular, soft-spoken, freakishly athletic, and in possession of a world-class wrestling pedigree. WWE clearly had high hopes for Lashley when he was put on the ECW brand a year later and made champion of the brand shortly thereafter. Fans weren't yet warm to him as seen at the disastrous December to Dismember, but the company would keep on trucking with Lashley, as evidenced by him being Donald Trump's avatar for WrestleMania 23, which set a new wrestling buy rate record thanks to the Trump-McMahon feud. Lashley's issue with McMahon extended past WrestleMania, and it's pretty rare for Vince to dust off the ring attire for anyone that isn't earmarked for a big run. But by August 2007, Lashley had wrestled what would be his final WWE match for more than a decade. As of early 2008, Lashley had secured his WWE release. Rumors swirled over the reason for his exit, with the firing of girlfriend Crystal Marshall cited as a possibility, as well as major issues with top agent Michael Hayes. Whatever the reason, all of that time and energy invested in the Bobby Lashley experiment ended up being for nothing. So that's our list. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and you can follow me on Twitter here. If you enjoy what we do here at Cultaholic, you can pledge to our Patreon. That's patreon.com/Cultaholic. And most importantly, don't forget to hit subscribe and join us.